Hello subscribers, welcome to a live stream of Wizardry 8. I'm continuing this tutorial. This is how to survive Arnica Road. We're going to head out there eventually.
Here.
Let's see, we are level 4. First off, we have to complete the monastery, so let's get that done. This is part 2 of this, by the way. I've already done one part on recommended party and character creation and all that. We're gonna kill one of the first bosses, Gregor. Alright, let's see. So we're level 2 and 3. It can be tricky to beat Gregor. I don't know what level you play it on. Since we're playing on easy, it shouldn't be too bad. Let's see.
Present.
Yeah, we do have Guardian Angel.
Yes. Here.
And the fighter has a long sword. 25 sword. Okay. So what we're going to do is, Gregor the boss is up here. I recommend not going up that direction. Instead, use this lift and go, we're going to go talk with the NPC first. There's an NPC up here, a merchant, where we can buy some things, sell some things, and just kind of prepare a little more.
Now who could that be?
Burrs.
Hey, was that you?
Okay, so anytime you meet an NPC, what I recommend is leave and then come back.
Come back and
Because you get a communication boost, which
ciao.
slightly affects cost. So you may as well do that. But before that, we're even going to open his treasure chest, potentially,
Present.
and take some of his
Ready.
goods. 14% is terrible. We'll see what happens here. And it's not really a percent. It tells you percent, but it's not. Just think of it as a flat number. Okay, poison darts. It's the worst kind of trap we can get on this. But since we're playing on easy, evidently it was good enough. Okay, got a few light heals. That's pretty bad. But still useful. Actually, let's distribute these. When we fight Gregor, he does have the ability to shoot, so he could hit someone in the back of the party. All right, what do we have? We have 626 gold. Let's see if there's anything to sell first off. We have an extra bow. Stink bomb we may hold on to and use on Gregor. We're going to see. We have an extra sling, which needs to go to him. Okay, yeah, we got plenty of bullet stones. We're going to split them. Now we're going to see if he has a quarterstaff. Because this back guy, he has a short staff, which is only short range, and that you hardly ever get an attack with that. If enemies come from behind or the side, you can, but that's the only time. So one tip is,
Yes.
if you want to see items equipable or usable by a character, click on the character, then hit this third icon down here. So then it'll limit what you can buy and show you only the available items, which is very handy. It's quick. So you can see there is a quarterstaff. Buy that. Get rid of the short staff. Alright, let's double check our weapons. So he could use a shield. Let's click on the ranger and see if there's a shield. Arrows, bullet stones, corals. There is a shield. We're going to buy that. This is really economical. 76 gold. Okay, and then let's check. So fighters using quarrels, which are so much better than arrows. But I don't think he had a crossbow for the ranger. So we're going to be stuck with arrows. I may switch and have the ranger
Here.
use the crossbow. It's probably the smarter thing to do here. So we'll just swap all these. Okay. Sell this extra bow. Inventory management is kind of a pain. Potion of Dragon Breath, we're actually going to hang on to for potentially later on and on Arnica Road. Could come in handy. And we'll keep all that. Alright, so let's go back and see. Fighter, anything for you? I do not recommend dual wielding your first play. Nothing for you.
Prepared.
Feathered hat, someone's going to be able to use that. Okay. In the monastery, you get attacked by a lot of slimes, and in this game, certain enemies are more likely to hit certain areas. So, things that are low to the ground are more likely to hit your feet and legs. So, in the monastery, boots and good leg armor is the best. And then later on, that changes. If you're fighting rogues and stuff, it's more likely to hit your upper body and legs. These are the two biggest targets by most enemies. Head you rarely get hit on, and feet later on when you're not fighting enemies low to the ground you hardly ever get hit on. Same with hands. Hands are probably the least likely to get hit. Alright, let's see. Armor upgrades are quite important. You can hit this and it'll show you the armor. So you can combine. I did show usable and then show armor. So it looks like only sandals are available for the ranger. That's not good.
Here.
You have summoned me?
Ready.
Yes.
Yeah.
Present.
So what we're gonna
Come
do,
back and see me.
we're gonna come
Till
out
we meet
here and
again.
we're gonna rest in this door, in this kind of tunnel. I'll show you a good place to rest. So this post right here, if you look, see how I can't see down the hallway anymore? If you camp here, the enemy will come up and get bottlenecked, and only the one in front most likely will be able to hit you. I had never seen them, if you rest right here, be able to come up from behind. So this is a pretty darn safe place to rest. All NPCs in the game, you have to rest 3 full periods for 24 hours to pass, and then they'll potentially generate new goods. So that's why I'm resting 3 times here. We'll see if he has any better armor, if we can afford something.
This'll be good
Okay, so we got
practice.
encountered. They surprised us, which is why we have 2 guys still asleep. But it's fine, because they're all in the front. This is level 5, so he's a really strong slime. So this might be quite challenging, but again, we're playing on easy, which is what you should probably do the first time you play to make your experience better. So this might be tricky. We'll see. It's been ages since I played on easy. We'll do sleep.
Taken care of.
We're gonna do a bless.
Very well.
Ninja's gonna attack with a spear. Ranger attack with sword. Fighter sword. We'll see how this first round goes. Yeah, easy just really does make it quite easy. The monsters miss a lot and you hit a lot.
I begin to feel refreshed.
Okay, so now that the bard's awake, we're gonna do practice with his
Very well.
instrument again. Priest did bless. Let's go ahead and do a guardian angel. Since these can shoot, I'm going to put it on the weakest character, which is the
Very
alchemist
well.
in the back. In general, you want to protect your guys in the back from shooters. And then let's just train.
Taken
Acid
care
Splash
of.
Power 2. There's two groups here, by the way. So this group is weak. This is a level 2. He's only got 4 hit points. He's the strong one that is level 5. Do the sleep again. Again, select the character by hitting a hotkey. So number 4, selected Bard, and then hit L for last. And that caused him to use his loot. And then Priest. Guess we'll do some more training. We'll do another Guardian
Very
Angel.
well.
Okay. Good experience. Good training. And the slime drops something. Slimes can sometimes drop. It's just regular arrows. Pick them up. And like I said in the last time, you should always right-click on things on the ground that you find that weren't hidden, because you may get an artifact skill increase depending on your level, the level of your artifacts in the item. So Ranger, we're working on senses because we want to unlock that one special skill that allows them to have an increased chance to hit at ranged. And then we're going to do dexterity again. Gives bonus chance to hit. Dexterity's, since it causes your weapon skills in general to go up faster, once your weapon skills get to a certain level, you will start getting an extra attack. There's two, I hate that they use the word attack, but there's two forms of offensively going for an enemy. There's what's called attacks, and there's what's called swings. So your speed will affect swings, potentially. The initiative of the weapon, your current stamina, your speed, all those things factor in how many swings you're going to get. And dexterity and things that affect how quickly your weapon skill goes up, so you get those higher, will affect how many attacks you get. You can be really slow and still get multiple attacks. So, it's in general, it's easier to get more attacks than it is to get more swings, unless you got really quick weapons. Okay, so for the Ranger, we're going to work on ranged combat, artifacts, and then throwing, because we want someone to continue to be able to use powders and stuff like that as we find them. Okay, now he's healed, or he's injured, so we're going to cast heal spells and not do a rest, because we'll get some training out of this. Hey, Mr. Spock, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? You're here, all right. The way training works is kind of weird for these types of spells. If you cast, the power level does not determine your chance to get an increase. Only the number of times you cast a spell. So you always want to cast it at a lower power level like this, multiple times, if you want to maximize training. This thing here, the auto recast, will cause your character to cast at the highest green power level that they can multiple times until they either run out of spell points or the character is fully healed. So in general, you don't want to use that for training. Instead, you'll pick power level 1. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click it once, and then right after that, I'm going to hold down the shift key and hit M again to do it quickly. That'll allow us to recast it. So see how I just got 2 of them? You can do that shift M real quick if you had a bunch of spell points, and you can cast it like 8 times right in a row. So then you get a ton of training and healing real quick. We ran out of spell points, plus he's full healed. Casting it The heal when they are fully healed will not give you any training, so don't do that. That's just gonna waste it. All right, I'm not sure if I rested 24 hours. I think I did. We're gonna go find out if there's more items now on furs.
Got some new stuff in stock.
Hey Moody, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? 6 out of 10? All right. Mr. Spock says, does ranged fighting work well in this game? Does the distance give you a good advantage? It works fairly well, Mr. Spock. Especially if you have good arrows, like mystic arrows and things that can give conditions on the enemies, then yes. What you'll find in this game is enemies will run forward and backwards and stuff. And so, like, if you put conditions like fear, blindness, things that'll cause the enemy to run, you'll get even more out of your ranged attacks because they'll run, you can shoot them down, they'll run forward, shoot them down again as they're coming towards you. So it really depends on the style, on how you play. But you don't have to. You can play the whole game without a single ranged weapon. But in general, yeah, you can get a lot of good utility out of them. Okay, so the way this works, when an NPC generates new items, it'll go to the bottom of their list. We'll scroll to the bottom and I'll show you. If we go down here, the last normal item he was selling before was probably these mod stamina potions or the stink bombs. And now you'll see there's more weapons and stuff mixed in. If you want to get it back to where it is sorted properly, you can sell something to him. Let me see. Let me just sell him these arrows. And that just resorted his whole inventory. So now when I go back to it, everything that was at the bottom will get shifted back upwards if it's weapons. In general, it puts weapons first, then armor, then miscellaneous type things. So that's just a little tip to help you quickly recategorize if you want. Red, of course, means you can't buy it. You'll have to look into arrows and conditions. Yeah. Okay, so let's see if he got any new armor. He looks like he's being kind of chintzy with armor. We got another hat. We got some quilt legging. I'm sure someone can use that. So we're going to buy that. We're going to buy the hat. This bard can definitely use the hat. And the quilt legging is armor class 4. 4 is better. Let's take a look. So he has fur, which is also 4. But it weighs more, I believe. No, quilt weighs more. Fur, I think, can be used by even some of the casters. So he has suede. So what we're going to do is give him, since he's up front, that. And then the bard, we're going to give the suede. So it's kind of like hand-me-downs. A lot of times when you find something new, you can start passing down the other ones all the way through the characters. Ironically, cloth pants are worse than robes. These are +1, robes are +2. Okay, so that's all we got as far as armor from him by Reston. Let's see if there's anything else we want. Let's see. We have all the quarter stabs we need. Rapier's a pretty good sword. While it only does 4 damage on average, it's +2 to hit, which translates to about 10% chance to hit. And it only weighs 4. If we compare that, let's look at the longsword. So this does 5 damage on average, no bonus to hit, and weighs 5. So this will drain stamina quicker just for 1 extra point of damage. The ranger, this does 4.5 damage on average, no bonus to hit, but +2 initiative, and it's really light, 2.5. So that's even better. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give this to the fighter, and then we're gonna buy a rapier for the ranger. That'll give him an increased chance to hit because he needs it. One little tip that I can show is when you go into inventory, if you click this button here, show equipment info, the game tries to calculate what it thinks is your attack rating. So I have this equipped. The higher this number, the better the game thinks you're going to do with that. Let's see what happens if I equip the longsword. So see, it thinks, even though the longsword does more damage, it thinks the rapier overall is better because it gives you a 21 here. We look, we got +5 to hit. If you equip this, it goes to +3. Anything else switch? The initiative switches. So the rapier has +1, which makes him go a little faster, and then +2 to hit. So overall, the game agrees with me and thinks that the rapier is better. Now we can do the same with this. Attack rating of 24 on the fighter. We look at the longsword. It thinks it's about the same, which I disagree with because the game does not take into account the weight of the weapon when determining this attack rating. It should do that, but it doesn't do it. This 2.5 is so much lighter than this 5. This weapon is much better. Okay, let's see. Anything else? The bard, we're just using straight range. I'm not having him use any melee weapon right now. That's fine. So let's go ahead and sell our sword. We're ready. Hey, Claus, welcome to the stream. How you doing? Also, hit the defense modifiers button for more info. Yes, good point, Claus. So if you come over here, if you click this button down here, view defense modifiers, it also shows you kind of some summary information about things. This isn't quite as useful, but it is still useful. This in particular, this verse penetration, most things do not benefit you with penetration. It's all evasion armor class. And as I mentioned before, evasion armor class sucks compared to penetration, because if you get paralyzed, held, blinded, whatever, your evasion armor class is useless. So shield becomes useless, magic items become useless. This does not become useless. One thing that affects verse penetration that's a spell is armor plate. So armor plate is fantastic because of that. Bless is not. Bless does not increase your penetration. It only does evasion. So bless is a lot worse. But yeah, you might see like body of stone, you cast that, and armor plate, that'll increase penetration. So just keep an eye on that. There's other things here, how much fatigue you're gonna have based on your stamina and things like that, your encumbrance. So very, very cool to look in there. There is a broadsword. Let me take a look here. So this weighs even more, but it does 7 on average. So now we're starting to, offset the decrease in chance to hit and the extra weight for actually getting some extra damage. So this one I may consider. 7 on average versus 4.5 on average. We're starting to get a lot better. So I think I am going to buy that. So you have to figure out for yourself what you think is ideal. So let's see what the game thinks. Yeah, see, it still thinks it's the same based on the initiative drop here. 24, 24, and we just got an increase in damage of from 4.5 to 7. So my opinion, the broadsword's going to be better for the fighter right now at this moment in time. If I start seeing her stamina go down real fast because she's just too weak, which I don't think will be the case because she's strong and has high vitality, but if that does happen, then I'll consider switching back to this short sword. But for now, we're going to do the broadsword.
Come back and see me. Ciao.
Sense of the player should be named Failure, not the characters who only follow instructions. Oh, someone mentioned on my YouTube channel to rename Oh, that's a different. That's my other game. That's my alchemist. Never mind. So my alchemist, one of them, I couldn't think of a good name for failure, and they came up with snafu. So we're gonna name that character snafu next time we do that party.
Here.
Okay, so let's go get another treasure chest before we go fight Gregor. And
Present.
as I said before, make sure to do your adventure spell training. We'll cast light here just to get that every couple minutes or so. Go around corners slowly. Okay, there's nothing on the mini map, so we're good.
This little dust up will be no
Okay.
problem.
So what do we got? Level 3, 37 hit points Seeker. Some Seekers are shooters and some aren't. So don't know what kind this is. What we're probably going to do here is a double sleep. We'll have the Alchemist sleep this group. Since this beast is out of range right now, that's why it's red. I'm going to act like I'm going to target this group also with the Bard,
Very well.
but we're going to retarget that as they get closer. Then the Priest, do your standard bless.
Very well.
Ninja's going to throw, Ranger's going to shoot. Okay,
Check.
do the run command because we want them to get closer. They are the shooter type. And so what this means is they're faster than me. So they get to choose to make me have to go first on my movement. So because I'm so slow, that's why they're sitting back. So they kind of foiled my plan of trying to retarget the Bard's instrument right now. So I can make a choice here. I can either do a double sleep, or I could just right click and see how this turns red. I could just hit escape and not target anything now. And then he won't waste his turn using some stamina. I don't really care. I'm going to go ahead and do a double
Very well.
on the same group. I'm not going to move forward because I don't want to lose a bunch of turns. I'd rather get some sleeps in here, even if we miss and waste some ammo. Which on easy, you can hit from even here, which normally that's not going to happen. Failure, yeah. Okay, so put them both sleep. Do the same thing. We're going to do last,
Check.
run forward. They're not moving. So I don't know where that other beast is. There he is. He's camouflaged and he's stuck. That's why he didn't move forward. This fat one, even though it doesn't look like it, he must have been blocking him. And this one probably can't squeeze by. So now we can retarget this
Taken
beast.
care of.
These two are still asleep, so I'll leave one to hit this one. It looks like it's the yellow, so that's the mage. And then the others will just attack this. We'll get some weapon training here. Okay. Both sleep, move forward. Let's go more training. Hey, Sad Cam, welcome to the stream. How you doing? I'm not gonna waste anything. We're just gonna do straight attacks. You'll see how much the Bard's stamina had gone down there. Using musical instruments really drains stamina on Bards. So one strategy is, of course, always to try to put stamina regen items on these, which you can find some eventually, which is why I made her female. And then, of course, you'll want to have casters that can replenish stamina. Alright. Pick up the potions. You do not have to right-click to identify if it's on the ground and you pick it up. As soon as you put it in your inventory, you'll automatically try to identify it. As you see here, got their artifacts. Can't get into this yet. We have a ranger, so we don't have to do the search command down here. We could just kind of walk around a little bit just to double check, see if there's anything hidden, which it doesn't appear to be. So we are ready to go after Gregor. Gregor the giant insect. He's very dangerous because he can paralyze you. And he can poison you, which in the beginning of the game takes down low hit point casters pretty quickly. So we're going to distribute these cure poisons on the casters in the back, the weaklings. And then I think we got some more here. We got plenty. He already had a bunch. So we'll get these distributed like this. Alchemist has lowest hit points, so we'll give him a couple. Now the potion of Draken Breath, if things are going to go terribly wrong and we can't hit them, it's good to be prepped before a battle. A lot of people make the mistake when they're first starting not to go through their party inventory and make sure all their characters' inventory slots are full. Their load, if it's blue or orange or red, is not. Try to get it white. Do the best you can to prepare. So this is an area of effect thing that uses stamina. So we know the priest, it has like no attack spells. It's going to be kind of useless because her weapons are weak. I have them in the back. So she's a good candidate to give this to. Let's see, stamina. We're going to give one to the bard, one to the priest. Because she does decide to use this, then we can use this later and keep doing the Draken Breath. Cure Light Condition, let's go ahead and distribute those two in case we don't know if the enemy is going to blind us or whatever. You'll want to put those on the characters that you think could be the most, that are most critical for you to get back. And then Stink Bomb, what we're going to do, we're going to see if someone, since this uses the throwing and sling skill, remember I mentioned before, the power of the spell and the spell level determines your likelihood of success. Noxious Fumes, I think, is a level 3 spell, and power 3 is almost in the middle. You can cast up to 7. So this requires a decent throwing. I don't know what that is for sure, but I would assume if you have about 30 in throwing, it's pretty safe to throw this. Doesn't mean you can't throw it with lower, but you start taking a risk that it'll backfire. And a backfire early on is the most hazardous thing that can happen to your party, especially with a area of effect spell like this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click this third button, the skills, and then we can look for throwing, which is here. And then we can just cycle through the characters. So 14, 0, 20, 3, 11, and 9. So my ninja's the best with 20. That's iffy to throw that. However, sometimes you have to Hail Mary if you're going to get party wiped. So we're going to still put it on her. And if things are going horribly wrong, then we might throw that as a last resort. So we're going to leave that on her. Most likely we won't have to do that, but you never know. So we're prepped. Now I'm going to put my back to the wall and slide like this. That's how you can kind of go by doorways. However, we know this enemy's here right now. Hey Igloo, welcome to stream. How are you doing? Claus says Gregor is only an alias. His real name is Franz. So we went into combat. That pauses the game. We can do the run command and peek around the corner. He's right there already. He came forward really fast. If we right click, we can see he's level 5. So he's higher than us, has 124 hit points. We can do a sneak attack on him now. So I'm going to back away to where it turns white on the mini map. That means that we're safe here. It won't start combat when we do finish move. As long as we're quick. So now what we have to do, we're going to do a finish move, and then I'm going to hit the tilde key again to go right back into combat. Okay, we went right back in. And now we're going to do a run command around the corner and do some attacks on them, get some free shots. If you look here, everyone's using a melee weapon except the bard. This little icon here is a sling. It means a ranged combat. If you hold down the shift key and hit W, it switches the weapon to the alternative for every character. So since we wanted the bard to use the sling, if we wanted to, we could just pick him by himself and then hit W and go back. So that's kind of a quick way to switch everyone except one character. But I do actually want him to use an arrow. An arrow's going to do more damage. But we're going to do the Poet's Lute. We don't see Gregor here, but we can hit N
Very well.
for next and assume it's targeting him. We don't know that for sure. If there was another enemy like over here that we don't see, we could potentially be targeting them, which would be bad because we would then aggravate them and pull them into combat. But we're going to do a run command and we're going to retarget this. So we're still going to be safe. The Alchemist, I'm not going to use Blinding Flash yet, but we may end up doing that. We'll first get an Acid Splash in.
Taken care of.
We'll kind of reassess after this first round to see how things go.
Very
Do a
well.
bless. Everybody else just going to
Okay.
attack. So issue the run. We're going to do a little slide like this.
Taken
Okay.
care of.
Shift click. That causes all characters to focus their attacks on him. So now the bard has retargeted his loot on him. You can see the little blue triangle. That's how we know the bard, because his name is blue up here. Everybody's focused on him. You're not seeing the priest because he's casting blitz. There's no orange. So here we go. Hit enter to start.
This encounter will be extremely exciting.
Okay, sleep worked. Acid Splash is probably gonna wake him up. No, it didn't wake him up. So he just lost his turn, which is awesome. This round he loses his whole turn. Okay. So we'll get some more shots in. We'll have the
Very
bard do
well.
sleep again, and we'll go ahead and do an Acid Splash
Taken
again.
care of.
Priest, let's be preemptive and do a Guardian Angel on the Ranger.
Very well.
Because if we look, the Ranger's still up front. There's the fighter, there's the Ranger. Okay, we just woke him up. Fizzled the Poet's Lute. This is a disadvantage of Gadgeteers and Bards. They will try to use an instrument or a gadget above dark green level. I don't know what it is, but maybe if it's yellow, they still try to do it. So there's a good chance Bards and Gadgeteers can backfire. You don't have that problem with casters as often because you get to control it more. So that is one disadvantage to the other stuff. Okay, he's awake now. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch to Blinding Flash. Do power 1.
Taken care
Just
of.
going to target it there. Let's get one more Guardian Angel. We'll put it on the fighter.
Very well.
And the Bard's not going to use the loot this time. I'm also not going to do the run command. I'm going to shoot with my weapons as soon as possible. He may be faster than me and he may run up first anyway. He didn't. He's deciding to wait. Now he runs up. So we still, well, okay, Blinding Flash didn't work. He shot at the fighter. Guardian Angel already went off. So now we're going to switch back doing the W command. The first 3 characters I want to use melee. We're going to try Blinding Flash again. And we're going to do Guardian Angel again. fighter.
Very well.
We've already got him down to 42 hit points. The Bard, I'm not going to use the Poet's Loot again because we're doing fine without putting him to sleep. And I don't want him to get his stamina that low. Okay, Fighter's paralyzed, so let me bring this menu up now. If you look, you see how it's dimmed? The Ranger's the only one in the front now guarding these from getting hit in melee range. If the Fighter was the only one up front and he just got paralyzed, Gregor could decide to attack past him and hit anyone in this category in melee. So that's just something to know anytime someone gets dimmed out like that. But we're still safe in the middle because we still have the Ranger up front. And he's probably going to start getting pummeled. The Blinding Flash still didn't work. He's still deciding to go for the Fighter. And because we're playing on easy, he didn't hurt him. Now, you could use Cure Paralysis if you have like some powder. If I even have any. Doesn't look like I do. So we can't do anything about that Cure Paralysis right now. You can do this, okay. When they're dimmed, you cannot move them out. So normally, you know, I could do something like this and move someone out. You can't do that. However, you can get around that with a move command. I'm trying to decide if I want to do that. He has 21 hit points, so I guess I can show you.
It will be done.
If you start a run command, and if, let's say, we want these two characters to now be up front. Actually, let's make it the ninja. We can correct this and still put him safely behind in the next round, not this round. So we're going to put Ranger and Ninja in the readjusted front.
It will be done.
You look here, right now Gregor's coming toward the front. Do the run command. And go ahead and do an acid splash.
Taken care of.
Very well.
He's going to get some free hits. But now, all we have to do is rotate like this. And see how he's at this left side? Since I had adjusted these to be like this,
It will be done.
the next round, he's only going to be able to hit them. So we're probably going to kill him here before I can show you, but we'll see. Okay, great. We didn't kill him. So now if you look down here, you can see there's two little dots on the left side. Even though the fighter's still paralyzed, he's attacking this way, which is why it shows a little bitty triangle off of these. Everybody attacked to the left that last round except Fighter. Fighter and this guy's still facing forward, which is confusing depending on how you look at it, because we're really facing like this. So this guy is facing like this. Everybody else facing to the left from this position is facing like this. So anyway, that's how that works. We want the ninja to go back to ranged, an acid splash, and then we're gonna do a heal. The fighter.
Very well.
He's got 8 hit points, so we should get him this round. Now the ninja's turn. But combat's over. We got him.
It was a nothing.
But that's how you get around when you're paralyzed like that and you can't adjust somebody. Just reposition and do a move.
I am suspicious of danger in this area.
Okay, so we're getting to this area where it's safe to rest. Do we have any more healing? Yes, the alchemist can do some training here. Okay. Then we'll rest off the paralysis.
That's a
Okay. Ninja level up. Level 4. We're doing dexterity and strength. We're gonna do throwing. Since I'm playing on easy, I'm gonna do critical strike and ranged combat.
I am no longer afflicted.
Okay, let's do some fire training on priest. In enough time. Boss says it's not safe to rest here. Only if you stand and move beyond statue. Well, Claus, I have never had an encounter in here. So, I'd say it's pretty darn safe. The rest right there. Okay, let's see. Skull cap. We can use that. Let's go ahead and put that on the alchemist. Looks like maybe Ring of Protect. Ooh, Ring of Breezes. Wow, that's a really good find early on. So not only do we get +1 evasion armor class, but 20% air resistance and 2 charges pure fire. That's really good here. So this is one reason why I like to focus on artifacts. See, the priest is terrible. You're terrible, but you have 25. So the bard's doing great. Ninja, no. Ranger's pretty good, 19. So we have 2 options, Ranger or Bard. And since the Ranger's up front, we're going to give it to him. And if you look at your resistances, which is the second tab down here, it shows you your base resistance is the dark blue. And now you can see this light blue, that's from that item. So we got a boost of 20 there. So it'll max at 100. It's not percent. It's not percent. But it maxes at 100. And depending on what level you play, it either indirectly adds to that behind the scenes or subtracts from it. If you're playing like expert or novice. Okay, leather hauberk. That's a pretty good armor early on. Let's give that to the fighter. And then do hand-me-downs. Nice. This one, you don't want to open unless you want to do training. It'll injure you. Make you nauseous. Another skull cap. Since I do have someone that can pick locks, I'm not going to be using this poser cap anymore. So give that to the priest. And I saved this one for last because this one's got an enemy in it.
A fighter like this is simple.
Level 4, 31 hit points. He's a caster, and this is undead, so we're going to use the priest's the turn undead ability here.
Very well.
Okay. We don't have enough mythology to see any of his weaknesses or anything, so I don't know. I'm guessing sleep will not work on him.
Very well.
Most undead seem to be immune to that kind of stuff. But we'll still practice it.
Taken care of.
So that's what we're going to do. So turn undead to 23 damage, which is a lot. And it can even like paralyze them sometimes. It's a really good ability.
I'm getting better.
But you have to be within throwing range. Don't use it if enemies aren't in throwing range or it won't reach them. And you'll waste it. It'll make you waste it. You only get to do it once per combat.
I am no longer.
Okay. Fighter. We're doing strength and dexterity. Close combat. Sword, shield. That's all we're doing on
My
the fighter.
illness is extinguished.
Bard. We're going to do intelligence and dexterity. Both impact music. We're going to boost music. And then locks and traps, since that's what he's doing. Artifacts. We want a good artifact user. Okay. Combat has ended, so we can once again do Light training. Moody says turn undead here does damage versus. Yeah. In Wizardry 7, you don't have a Dispel Undead or Turn Undead ability. There's a spell called Dispel Undead. In this game, bishops and priests have an ability called Turn Undead, and it's not a spell. It doesn't kill the enemies, it just does damage and can potentially paralyze them. It's a good question, Moody. It is different. You have to be in throwing range, like I said. Okay, no enemies. Let's sneak over here and grab this. Let's go into the ninja. And then start exploring the rest. Enemies here. These drop from the ceiling. Oh, well. They appear out of nowhere. Spiders drop from the ceiling. So there's 6 of them, or 9 of them. If you're not familiar with the types of enemies and you have blinding flash, you may want to consider that.
Taken care of.
But I don't think we're going to need that, so we're going to do acid splash
Taken care of.
and bless.
Very well.
We'll do a sleep. Pick this
Ready,
group.
Check.
We'll let them get closer. The computer will act weird sometimes when there's multiple ways to get to you. Like, see how that one just ran that way? These are trying to run down the other hall there to get to us, because these have blocked them. So, there's good and bad in that. If you look down here, the way they're spread out, the best you can do is to get 2 in the front. There's 1 here, and there's 1 here. So the 2 on the sides can hit anybody because they're coming from the side. So I would kill those first.
Okay,
We're going to target that one, and then we're going to position like this. Just to be extra safe. So this one will be able to attack anybody. It decided to attack the fighter, even though it could have hit the casters back here. Okay, so let's do an attack straight without running, so we can try to kill him before he gets 3 shots. The others will come up. We get another shot as they come up. Okay. Both of them are in front, so they'll hit the ranger and fighter.
Very well.
Taken care of.
Let's get some more training on the priest. He needs
Very
magic training. Moody asks if there's a spell on deadness game. No,
much shorter.
there is not. Good training. Mr. Spock says, is running from combat an option in this game or not really? Yes. You're much more likely to be able to run in this compared to Wizardry 6 and 7, because in Wizardry 6 and 7 you have no control over if you're going to be able to run. This, you can try to run no matter what, as long as you're not surrounded. If you're surrounded, then you're going to be stuck, and when you do the run command, you can't get past them. So that's where like blinding flash and things that open positions is really good spells. Any kind of fear effect. It can drastically increase your chance of being able to run if you're surrounded. Which is why these are some of the best spells in the game. We're just going to attack these because they were still asleep. Yeah. Go ahead and rest here. Okay. Let's Do light again. We'll just keep on training that priest. So by the time he gets, if he gets lightning, she'll have a decent fire skill. Here's where they're gonna drop from the ceiling.
See a creature.
I wait. You attack the first.
Now, if there's an enemy type that you're not familiar with, like I said, and you have blinding flash, I would recommend using that the first time.
Taken care
It's
of.
going to cause the enemies, if it works, to just kind of scatter and go all over the place. It'll work on some, it's not going to work on others. So it's worth casting. Sometimes they'll cower and then you'll be able to just get some free hits in on them as you kind of assess. But it'll help control the enemies. Same with sleep.
Very well.
Do some sleeps or disabling spells like fear the first time you fight them. It'll increase your success because you won't have to take them all at once. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm not going to do the run command because we want to try to go first. These can paralyze us. Okay, so we blinded and slept a bunch of them, so they're in trouble. Still gonna do Guardian Angels. You always want to play it as though you're gonna die the next round, in my opinion.
Very well.
So if, just think later on, if you really like the game, you might start doing Iron Man runs. So you might as well start preparing for that now. So just still doing a Guardian Angel, assuming that they're gonna come out of this and attack. And I'll be protected. We'll get some training out of it.
Very well.
Let's go with Acid Splash.
Taken care of.
When enemies are blind, they'll take double damage from melee weapons unless the melee weapon is a lashing attack. If you look at the attack types, there's attack modes. This is swing and thrust. So those will do double. This will be thrust and bash, those would do double. If you had a whip, you don't get double. Ranged weapons also don't do double. Their evasion armor class is still terrible. So that's a good thing, but the double damage thing is just on those particular attack modes.
Taken care of. Taken care of.
Let's just get some more range training here. So that one got knocked out by bullet stones. If you look at bullet stones, they have a 4% knockout chance. And ignore percent. It doesn't really mean percent. This one will get a little melee training. We'll move up to it. Okay, fighter did double damage there. 31 damage. Killed it instantly.
Delightful.
Beware. My power grows stronger.
Great training there. As you can see, we got some bows, sword, range, divine magic, water magic. Yeah, Claus is saying that running from enemies is a very important skill to have. It is. You definitely want to know when to run, and you'll figure that out over time. That's just experience. You'll figure out, oh boy, these enemies are really dangerous based on where I'm at, based on my position, based on my current status. All that stuff you'll figure out over time. It just takes practice. Priest. We're going to do piety, intelligence. Okay, we're getting a level 3 spell now. We got quite a few to choose from. Cure paralysis, rest all, silence cure poison, armor plate, magic screen. Those are all the level 3s here. In general, you want to go for the higher level spells. You don't always do that, but in general, I would say for new players, armor plate is the best option here right now. Magic screen is also fantastic, but you'll notice that we're using a lot of spell points in this realm right now. That's one thing to consider as you start getting more spells is, hey, if you look at this, I have nothing in the earth. I'm getting no training, not using anything in that realm. If we were to get magic screen, I would be hogging up spell points in this realm. So that's a big factor. So because of that, and because armor plate is a fantastic spell, especially early in the game, we're getting that. Okay, and in general, increase the magic skill. Our earth is 3, which is really bad. It will train over time because we're going to be casting armor plate. However, that's going to be fairly slow. I'm taking a look here. Her artifacts is terrible, which I don't like. I don't like her throwing's only 9. So I'm going to focus on artifacts and sling, because by the time I start finding good artifacts that like heal all and just things in general that can supplement her spells, I'll have a decent artifact skill by putting some points into this. So that's what I would do. This is going to go up over time much faster than the artifacts. So we'll do that. And then alchemist, we're doing intelligence and dexterity. And again, he gets some 3rd level spells. We got some great options here. Noxious Fumes is fantastic. It can nauseate or knock the enemies unconscious. It's also a area spell that you can target, like Blinding Flash is. It doesn't do a ton of damage, but it does reasonable damage and hits a bunch of enemies. If you don't have a thief or anybody like that, Knock Knock's great. It's also great for training. This is to open chests and stuff. But we have someone that we can rely on to keep doing the lock training, so we're going to do that. Whipping Rocks does tons of damage. Look at this, 6 on average. It goes out in a cone, though, which can be good or bad. In general, in my opinion, these types of spells where you can cast them at a long range are better. But the damage of this and being 6 spell points versus 5 causes it to do even more damage. That's something I haven't talked about yet. So we all know the monsters have resistances. There's many factors in that, magic resistance. One of the factors is the spell cost of the spell and the level of the spell. Both of those combined will increase your chance of penetrating monsters' magic resistance. Which is why like higher level spells like lightning, which is like a 6th level spell, I think, will do more damage than what it says in general, because it's so expensive, it increases the penetration chance. So not only does this do more just outright, this increased cost will cause it to actually do even more. I don't have anything in the Earth realm yet, whereas here I have sleep. So this is a tough decision. Getting conditions on the enemies early on is very good. I would argue it's probably more useful than starting the training in the Earth here. So I think I'm going to do that. I don't think you could go wrong either way, but I think if you're a beginner player, I think you're going to probably have more success with Noxious Fumes. So go with that. You can power train alchemy. I'm not really doing that, so I'm going to go ahead and boost this. We're going to start putting points into Earth. We'll put 3 points there, and then we're going to keep working on throwing and sling for the alchemist like this. Okay, so that was our 2 level ups.
Strange. I wonder what this does.
Balance is important in spell selection. Yeah, Mr. Spock, it is. In general, you want to try to start getting all the realms useful and being able to use them. so that you can train them and get them up faster. Class's armor plate will give you only one armor class on power level 1 and 2, but the first level power power level of magic screen is 11% increase in resistance. Yeah, you can't really go wrong picking either of those first, in my opinion. Both would have been fantastic. You don't fight too many things early on that will impact your resistances, though. So the fact that we would not be getting any earth training and we would be hogging up all those divine spell points, that's why I shied away from it. But Claus is right, it's still very, very useful spell. So I don't think you could go wrong either way. That's what's fun about this game. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to play. I'm just giving you my advice based on my personal experience and what I think would be easiest for a beginner, like the best experience. Okay, so let's go up here. You got to get on this little platform, then kind of step back a little bit and click this skull. Open this. Then we get our key. We're going to use that for opening a safe. Slowly go around the corners. Once again, that's just a general principle you're going to want to do. You're extra paranoid, you can do that start combat thing I showed you. I will do that if I'm like in a really dangerous area, or I know what kind of enemies can be around there, or if you're near death, sometimes you need to do that. So we got 2 resurrection powders. The way I can tell is this whole thing weighs 0.6 and they weigh 0.3 each. The most you can get here is 3. So we got right in the middle. These are fantastic. So let's get them distributed. We have a total of 5 resurrection potions right now. Or powders, resurrection powders. I guess that's one thing I should bring up. In Wizardry 6 and 7, you can use potions on any party member. In Wizardry 8, they changed that. Potions can only be used by the user. Powders, on the other hand, can be used by anyone. So Resurrection Powder can work on any character. So they did make that distinction. So we're done with this area. Let's see if there's anything we want to sell to Burrs before we leave. It looks like there is. Let's go ahead and do that.
Got some new stuff?
Okay, the holy water I'm actually going to hang on to. Well, we can find a hidden one later. No, I'm going to go ahead and sell it. The cleaver I'm not going to be using. It's -1 to hit, and I'm not doing axes. Let's see. Hanging on to that still. Let's double check. I don't think he's generated anything new. Didn't rest long enough. Nope.
Come back.
Goodbye.
As you run, if you hold down the shift key and move, you'll see your stamina drops. You can just touch the C command like that real quick, and their stamina will come back, and then hit escape and get out of that real fast. Generally try to do that when I'm running around, just to save me some time. Safe. No monsters. Okay, we're ready to go upstairs then. I'm gonna close this so that monsters don't come through here. And some more bullets. Now, I'm gonna talk about another tip here. So, when you go into a new area the first time, there's something called a level sensor that exists on most treasure chests, and it determines what kinds of goods are going to be in that treasure chest, like generated randomly. It does it based on the price of the items. So it looks at kind of your average party level when you go into a new area. And there's categories. I don't know for sure what they are. I think it's like level 1 through 5 is one category, 6 through 10 is another, 11 through 15, etc. So sometimes you kind of want to wait till you're a higher level. If you know what that is, if you can pinpoint what it is, and you can look that up online if you want tips on the level sensor thing. But essentially what that'll do is the first time you go into that area, it'll randomly determine those treasure chests. Now, from what I can tell, if you accidentally go into an area at a lower level, but you don't open any of the chests, you leave the area, you come back, let's say 20 levels different, it will replace the top item, the top level first item in the chest with your current level. The other items in the chest do not. They seem to stick with what it was the first time. So just an FYI on that for people that want to get really fun, good treasure in the game.
There is no one here.
Also, of course, your level impacts the types of monsters that will randomly spawn.
This will be good practice.
It won't affect the set encounters on the map. Like these two rabid rats here are set. No matter what level we come in here, these two are always going to be here. Those are level 6s, 24 hit points. So we're level 4 and 5. So they are higher level. These are quite dangerous, but since we're playing on easy, we shouldn't really have to worry about this. We'll test out our new noxious fumes.
Taken care of.
And then... oh, I didn't do my armor plate. That's okay. I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to do Guardian Angel first instead.
Very well.
And then we'll go ahead and do sleep.
Very well.
Yes, Igloo. He asked, when you use a powder, it's fixed power level, right? Yes. All artifacts, powders, scrolls, potions, they're all at a fixed level. And the game always tells you. Let's see. Well, that one we can't identify. Let's just look at Cherry Bomb. Power 3. The exceptions are musical instruments and gadgets. If you right click on those, it tells you it requires, and it'll increase in strength based on your music skill. And from what I can tell, your intelligence too. It doesn't tell you that here, but I've done a lot of testing, and your intelligence and dexterity does seem to impact in addition to your music skill. It's not just that. That's why I always focus on that. Okay, let's let him get closer so we can potentially retarget here. Let's make sure we got our noxious fumes hitting them both. Okay, so now we got the nausea condition on this rat. Conditions are fantastic to get on enemies. They do many things. The nausea can make him miss his turn. It also decreases his evasion armor class by 2. So it gives an increased chance that I'm not positive if it decreases his chance to hit, but it definitely decreases his chance to dodge. Even poison effect. If you get a poison effect on an enemy, it drops their evasion armor class by 2, which is cool.
Taken care of.
So then we'll do another guardian angel
Very
fighter
well.
this time.
Taken care of.
We'll do armor plate after this battle because we can cast that outside of combat. Well, it says forget the level sensors. The loot's not good anyway.
You see,
Yeah, in general, you do get pretty garbage equipment in Wizardry 8. But I was still just telling you for education purposes. So Ranger, we're going to focus on senses and dexterity again. Okay, we get our first spell. So hit level 5, the hybrids start getting spells. I would say for beginners, get heal. It's always good to have an extra heal. We'll put some into divine, we'll put some into alchemy. And then let's work on his artifacts. 22. Okay, I'm going to rest in this corner like this. You don't really use throwing in artifacts that much, Igloo? We know there's something up here, so we're going to start combat. We're going to do some sneak attacks.
Taken care of.
Priest. Go ahead and do a bless.
Very well.
Taken care of.
Run. They're camouflaged, so they suddenly appear. We're going to do switch to weapons.
Taken
Done.
care of.
And then
a fight
go.
like this is simple.
Yeah, I think so. 2 claws. I just wasn't 100% sure if nausea impacted attack, gave attack penalty. I know it does in Wizardry 6 and 7. But let's go ahead and do noxious fumes now.
Taken care of.
I'm going to move forward. You can see that little moon. They're all
Very
asleep.
well.
I want to get some melee experience here. Okay.
Okay.
Let's move forward again. This one got knocked out. That's what that little head is. This unconscious. That's what Noxious Fumes did. He's awake again. Let's do another Noxious Fumes. Use the loot again. Everybody else just the fight.
Satisfactory.
See, good training. Potion. What do we get? Cure poison. Okay.
Things for me.
Ranger found some feather darts. Let's go into the ninja. Now you can split these and get multiple attacks with the ninja. However, if you do that, I just want to let you know about this. Anytime you attack with a weapon, depending on what types of skills it's using, that skill has a chance to hog up the training. So if you don't plan on doing dual weapons at all throughout the game, let's say with melee or ranged, then you're kind of wasting some of your training. It could potentially increase that, which is why I have 2 here, because I had 2 throwing weapons going at the same time. I don't mind that for the ninja, but just to let you know, you got to consider what types of skills are going to share that training. And on the ninja, if you, or on anybody, if you're dual wielding throwing, then it's going to use the dual wielding. Now, if you don't have the skill, then it won't do that. But since ninja has dual weapons, it could potentially put some of the training into that instead of it going toward ranged or throwing. But late game, having high dual weapons will mean my ninja can, you know, throw left and right, so I'm okay with that. Let's rest in this corner. Getting dual throwing on a ninja with auto penetration and high critical strike. You get a lot of critical hits late in the game,
Present.
Yes.
Ready.
which can be fun. Okay, leather boots. This is great against all these slimes. Let's see. Bard will take on those. I'm not going to open up any of those yet. Sometimes the rats down here will come out and sneak up on you while you're trying to open things. Like, see?
No problem.
There's two right here. What kind? So these are rabid. Level 6. They were hiding. They would have come out and got me from behind.
Taken care of.
It's really scary. Guardian Angel is a fantastic spell
Very
against
well.
monsters that give you conditions. Like these can poison you and make you insane. So it's better than Bless to cast Guardian Angel against these quickly. Because then if they do attack you, the Guardian Angel will guarantee the block. Whereas Bless only gives a 10% difference on the evasion. And it's, we'll cast Bless eventually, but get Guardian Angel going first in this situation.
Very well.
See, my priest is slow. Okay, got it on the ranger, but the ranger had already got hit. Okay, so he's protected. This rat came up from the side, but he's still on the front. So he can hit the fighter or the ranger. Another guardian angel.
Very well.
And practice our air training again, and bard
Very well.
practice music.
Although it is pleasant to advance, true happiness comes only through meditation.
Okay. Now, sometimes after a fight, you want to go back to an area where you think or know it's safe. Like for me, I've never had an encounter up here in this corner. So I come back here and just don't want to risk
Pleasant.
resting down there. So we're going to rest with our back to the wall here. Resting can cause monsters to spawn. So you have to kind of be careful with overdoing the resting. Especially at certain areas like Arnica Road. They will respawn like crazy, or the swamp. Other areas are a little slower. And you'll just have to figure that out over time. Experience. Ninja, we're doing dexterity and strength. First spell, again, we're going to get heal wounds. Divine, alchemy, and for him, throwing. Okay, let's do our armor plate before I forget again. And light. Get training going. Look around, make sure there's no enemies coming.
I find these.
Generally, I don't search until I know I've cleared the enemies in the immediate area. But we should be pretty safe with that. So now there's a bunch of rats down here. This here, all in meditation, absolutely no magic allowed, tells you
This will be.
what you're dealing with here. So you go through that door and you're in an anti-magic zone. But we can cast out here.
Taken care of.
So let's let them come forward.
Very well.
I'm gonna put the rabbit rat to sleep.
Very well.
Most likely we're gonna kill him as soon as he comes up. But there's no guarantee on that.
Okay.
He comes up first because he's the fastest. You can check on enemies to see if they can reach you. Like this guy, it's like, can he really reach me? No, he's an extended range. It doesn't tell me because my mythology's too low, but his max attack range is short. See, this one shows us short. We still don't know what his max attack range is, but based on experience, I know it's short. Make sure we're hitting them all. And we're good to go. So he'll lose his turn. In fact, we'll probably kill him right now. No, he didn't. So he lost his turn. Sleep, put him to sleep. And then we'll put these here to sleep.
Taken care of.
Noxious fumes again. Priest. Sure, I don't have any other good spells on you. Nope. Let's go ahead and just do Guardian Angel.
Very well.
Okay.
Taken care of.
Very well.
He's asleep.
Check.
Let's move forward a little bit. Shoot him. Okay. So ranged, close, divine, alchemy, air. Not bad.
Things for me.
Book of traps. So we're gonna give that to the priest. Already has it. Okay. So if you look here, Lord, Valkyrie, priest, bishop, monk, and psionic can learn this spell. So we don't have any of those. So we're gonna end up selling this book. Otherwise you could, save it for later. When someone becomes qualified, give it to them.
I find these. I find these.
Throwing knives, we'll give those to the ninja. Main
Things
gauche.
for me.
That uses the dagger skill, I believe. Yeah. And I said this before, but I'll mention again. You look at the weapon skills, it tells you the controlling attributes that affect how quickly they train. All the melee weapon skills are strength and dexterity, except dagger. Dagger is dexterity and speed. Just an FYI, if you decide to go the dagger route, go ahead and rest here. I would, for beginners, I would not go daggers.
I find these.
Book of Blessing. Okay, so again, that's a spell we already have. We don't have anyone else that can learn that.
I find these.
So we'll sell it. Okay, we can't get in this door here yet. Come back to that. How important is money management in this game, Mr. Sparkus? It's very important as long as you're not like doing grinding of the alchemy ability. The alchemy skill can let you get ridiculous amounts of money. You can exploit it and never have to worry about money. But if you're not doing that, it's fairly important. You definitely don't have to have it to beat the game, but it'll make your life a lot easier as a beginner, especially early on.
Taken care of.
Very well.
So what we're going to do here is, I know there's some enemies around the corner. Now there's two ways you can kind of surprise enemies. You can hop around the corner and just have everyone shoot at them, do whatever. Actually, there's multiple ways. You could run up to them around the corner. You may lose your attacks because you have to use so much movement up. Or you could stand still like this and throw something that's an area of effect into the area that's going to hit them, and that'll aggro them. You can also do a group type spell like Sleep, Fear, Sonic Blast, whatever, with the end command, which does next, and toggle through and get them aggroed that way. Or you could even wait for them. The computer kind of cheats. It knows you're around a corner, and sometimes the monsters will just slowly start creeping up, even though in reality they wouldn't know you're there. So you can do that and encourage them to come up to you, and then when they get really close, do your surprise attack. For this case, what I'm going to do is to show another option. I'm going to do an area of effect attack around the corner and not move. And I'm going to do a bless in preparation. Now when you do this, there's not a guarantee that combat will continue. Sometimes you'll cast a spell, you'll do some damage or whatever, and then combat stops. There's good and bad in that. The bad is if you cast spells like Bless and that, you lose it because combat ends. The good of that is you can immediately start combat again and do the damage spell again. So there's good and bad. This case, combat did continue. We pulled them in. So now we'll just finish them off.
Very well.
Poet salute.
Very well. Okay.
Let's go ahead and kill this guy. Okay.
Taken care
Very
of.
well.
Rinse and repeat. This time we'll have you target this
Very
one.
well.
So the Raider's got 53 hit points. He's the tougher guy.
Very well.
They're Death Stars. They're not really Death Stars. Don't worry about that. They can't critically hit you. Game's lying. Okay. Priest just attack.
Taken care of.
Very well.
Let them run up. They can't find me. I'll help you out. Here I am. Okay, we got a little training there. Music, divine magic, air. Drop the cutlass. Okay. 6 damage on average. How much does it weigh? 4.5. This I am gonna swap out. Broadsword. We're only losing 1 damage on average. But we're losing, what is that? How much of the weight? 20, over 20%, 25% of the weight. To help with our stamina. Okay. Flash powder. This is really good. You only want to use it on guys that have good throwing. So 28 on the ninja, he's getting it. It's a pretty good chance he can do that successfully. And the alchemist just created flash powder. It shows it down there. That's not a safe place to rest, by the way. Let's do it right here.
Present.
So I just tried to cast armor plate power 3. It failed. I picked the highest power level because that's your greatest chance of getting training. However, now we have to make a decision, okay? Do we not rest and not cast it at all, or do we rest again and try to cast it again? If I cast it again, I will not get any training, but I do want the benefit of it. So I'm gonna wait just enough where I can cast it power 1. Because I do want that benefit. Only gonna last 31 turns, but it's better than nothing. But come in here and look. This is the thing that Claus talked about earlier. We can see now we have a +1 burst penetration on everybody. Okay, and then we also want to cast light and do that training. Okay, what's next? Next area. I'm not going to worry about opening these. You can do that if you want, but it's... kind of walk around on the area a few times if you're in a new area just to double check. Make sure you're not missing something with the ranger. Nothing there.
I find these. Things for me.
The closer you get to an object, the more likely it is you'll find it, by the way. So if you know something's there, you can't see it, you just got to try to get as close as you can to it. So now we know there's some enemies here. Let's wait and see if that one strategy I was talking about will work, where they come toward me. Every once in a while, we can go into combat, peek around the corner, and see if they're coming closer. Yep, they are. Go back behind the wall. Back up a little bit. If you listen carefully too, you can hear like the monster's movement. Here I just heard some footsteps. It actually does increase in volume as they get closer. So you know they're coming. So we can see that guy is really close now. So that's all I'm going to push my luck on, so I can still get my surprise attack. If they get within visual range, so you see a red on the minimap, it's too late. And if you go into combat, you don't get to surprise them anymore. So you have to kind of time that right. So we're going to throw this around the corner.
Taken care of.
We have the bard use the point loot, use
Very
the
well.
N command. I don't know which ones I'm hitting. I just hit N. It's hitting one of the groups. And then let's get a plus.
Very well.
If you had like granite potions or things on these other party members that aren't casters, you could use them now. I don't think I have anything I want to use. I'm not concerned about any of that, so they're just going to waste their turn. So the bard happened to hit this group of 4, put them all to sleep. Combat ended. So I immediately go back into combat. I just hit the tilde key, went right back in. So we just got a free hit on those guys. So let's do it again.
Taken care of.
Alchemist, use attack. Bard,
well.
use loot. Priest,
Very
do
well.
bless. Igloo says too much stuff that this game doesn't tell you. Well, that's the fun of it. You learn all that over time. We just knocked out 3 of them with noxious
Taken care of.
fumes. Okay,
Very
use
well.
more training with the bard.
Very well. Okay.
We'll do a run command, let them come closer. This guy's within close combat because it switched to the melee. Let's do the sleep on this one then.
Very well.
Fighters have a special combat ability, which you just witnessed. They can knock out anyone. No matter what weapon they're using, and no matter what kind of attack they're doing. Even with ranged weapons, it works. So that guy just got knocked out. Yeah, fighters are ridiculously overpowered. They also have this melee attack, which is even more overpowered. It's called Berserk. In Wizardry 6 and 7, it was the melee attack mode on weapons. It's now been given to the fighter on any kind of weapon. You can do a Berserk. You do double damage when you hit. It does use up more stamina. It does decrease your chance to hit and your chance to penetrate. But the double damage by far offsets that. So, but I'm not going to do that. But if you want to use it, that's what you do. You do this with a melee.
Okay.
Okay, let's do this.
Taken care of.
Check.
Taken care of.
Okay.
Come on. There we go. We get a good amount of training from all of them. Ah, there's one left. He's got 3 hit points left from all the noxious fume
Taken care
attacks.
of.
Ninja goes first. Senses impacts your chance to go first. Senses and speed. That boosts your initiative. Moth pants. Sell that. Poison darts. Wow, those are really good. There's only 8 of them. But 6 damage on average. 100%. Don't look at percent. 100 poison. Power 2. Even though that's low, remember that poison decreases the enemy's evasion. So that's awesome. Let's go ahead and go over here. Igloo says, I know rogues can backstab with thrust attack. I don't know what that does though. It's not the thrust attack, it's the weapon type. It has to be a sword or a dagger, I believe. Like you can't backstab or get that special attack with the staff that you thrust. And it just does damage multiplier. Increases their chance to hit and does a damage multiplier. Like times 2, times 3, times 4 on the base.
Trapped.
Now training, if you want to power train a priest, a psionic, or a bishop, you have the divine trap spell. This is the quickest way to do it. You do the lowest level. Look at that. Boom. So you can quickly get your casters mental spell up really fast, as well as their main magic school, which is divinity for the priest. It's a psionic. It's of course their psionics. If it's a bishop, it depends on which is higher. Depends on if the psionics is higher or the divinity's higher, and then it trains the higher one. I'm gonna do this one more time. And then we'll really open this. But within a half hour, you can have your priest spell like ridiculous. You can do it while watching TV or something, you know. Alright, so let's go ahead and cast it for real. And let's look at the bard. 35. And it's dagger scatter.
Most encouraging.
Okay, did we get anything good? No, we did not. Still take it to sell. Now here's an instrument for the bard. This will cast Bless. So that's sweet. Priest could focus more on attacks now and just the guardian angels.
You have summoned me?
Speaking of which, I need the armor plate. Since I'm going to be fighting something soon here, I'm going to try a power 2. And if that fails, then I'll do power 1. Success.
Taken care
See what
of.
we're dealing with. Bugs, level 3, they're weak. I'm gonna pop around the
Taken
corner
care of.
here. And we'll do Angel Tongue.
Very well.
And we'll do Guardian Angel for the training.
Very well.
Okay.
And I guess we'll do some ranged attacks.
Okay, done.
You did try 3 rogues in the front, 3 fighters seem better. Yeah. It depends, Igloo. If you get the stealth on the rogues really high, then the rogues could arguably do better than the fighters because the monsters won't even attack them. The monsters will just stand there and not do anything. It's really kind of a cheat. But that can't come until late in the game unless you do a bunch of power training, which you can do. You can power train that stealth skill by fighting some really weak enemies, and instead of being in phased combat, go into continuous phase combat and just let them keep trying to hit you over and over and over. And you can power train it. But
Taken care of.
Very
But
well.
yeah, in general, the fighters up front will make the game a little easier for you.
Very well.
Switch to melee. Alright, let's go.
I'm getting better. I prosper with the will of destiny.
Okay, so all we got training wise is bow, alchemy, and air magic. As your skills get higher, you're going to see that, where they don't increase as quickly. Okay, strength, dexterity, close combat, sword, shield. Bard, we're doing dexterity and intelligence. Music, artifacts, lock and traps. Now, the smelling salts I do need to distribute. It's like the only way to deal with unconsciousness on your party members early on in the game. Really, for quite a while. So you get the restoration spell. Priest. Okay. This is a fantastic gadget early on, but gadgeteers are terrible. Terrible to start with as a beginner. By far, the weakest class you can have in the beginning of the game. So it makes your life miserable.
Present. Damn it.
Okay, next, I'm gonna go ahead and open up this door over here. Sometimes you'll get a ton of spawns in here. And other times you'll just have like a small group. Let's open this. I'm gonna walk around the corner to see, because these are gonna be camouflaged.
This way.
So on the mini map, I'm seeing a pretty decent number. It's not ridiculous though. I mean, I've seen it where there's literally 30 in here. So let's prepare. We're gonna do the noxious fumes around the corner. Now, you see how this is light green and not dark green? We could take a risk on this and cast it, but even with light green, there's a chance that can backfire. I've even seen dark green backfire. Very, very rare, but it does happen. So I'm gonna do dark greens.
Taken care
And
of.
I'm not gonna go around the corner. I'm just gonna get them aggroed here.
Very well.
And we'll do angel.
Very well.
Maybe some nausea on them. Okay, we got combat ended. Perfect. So we start
Taken
again.
care of.
Very well.
Do the
Very
exact
well.
same thing. Get some more nausea in my consciousness. For beginners, Igloo, that are playing this game, Gadgeteers are terrible. The hardest part of the game for beginners is Arnica Road. And Gadgeteer is terrible there. It's not until they get to like level 13 that a Gadgeteer starts to become useful. So they're not for beginners. You can do much better with other classes. Now, I'm not saying they can't become useful, because they can late game, but that's
Very well.
not what causes players to quit the game. Some sleep.
Very well.
Check.
They're still not coming out here, and I'm fine with that. We're just going to keep hitting them with conditions through around the corner. It's the kind of thing you want to do to be safe. We got Guardian Angels. We got some more Noxious Fumes. Do another round like this. Combat ended. That's perfect. We can do it again.
Taken care of.
Very well.
Usually if you go about 3 rounds and the enemies don't get to you or can't get to you, combat will end. Now we're out of spell points for Noxious Fumes. So now we'll take them on legitimately.
Taken care of.
Let's see. Let's get some stamina back on the Bard.
Very well.
Still do that
Taken
training.
care of.
We'll do a run command, let them come forward. We'll see if one... No, one still has not come through the wall. You have enough to use your loot.
Very well.
Increase
Very
2
well.
stamina again.
Taken care
It will
of.
be done.
Okay, one's finally within range. Okay, combat ended again.
Taken care
This
of.
time, we'll run around the corner
Very well.
Check.
and do a melee attack on him. This guy's
I
sleeping.
see some sort of beast.
Okay, that one's only got 2 hit points. This one's awake. These are still sleeping.
Taken care of.
Knock them out. The bullet stone.
Very well.
Okay, decent training.
Who's that over there?
Things
That's
for me.
Altheides. Take a look at the ninjas throwing. What is it? 28. Yeah, cherry bombs are kind of iffy.
I have been waiting for you. You are not to ascend. I cannot.
You heard the metal guy. We have a job to do.
Don't tell me you go.
Guests enter our realm.
Okay. Yeah, the lava lamp is a good item, Igloo. Psionics can get that spell, though. He'd be better off with a Psionic than a Gadgeteer. Psionics can get haste. They're immune to all mental conditions. They get Pandemonium, Psionic Blast. They have some of the best spells in the game. Okay, let's come over here. You can really have fun with Prismatic Chaos with the Psionic once you get that level 7 spell. I did a all Psionic run, and man, that was so fun. That was the most fun run out of all the combinations I've tried. Okay, let's see. Light. So we got the key now. We can get back into the basement. Any monsters? No. Okay. So with these, since we're in an anti-magic zone, we could decide to either fight them here and not cast anything, or we could pull them back. Since I have a pretty balanced party, I'm not going to cast anything. This is one advantage of a Gadgeteer. They can use their gadget in here. Bard cannot use their musical instrument. But since I have some decent fighters and we're playing on easy, I don't need to cast.
Very well.
Taken care of.
Magnificent kill if I do say so myself.
Good training there. Okay.
A device of some kind. I wonder what it does. This looks like it could blow any second.
I am going to heal. That's one thing you want to do before you open traps. Cast Magic Screen if you have it. And then make sure you healed up. Which I don't have Magic Screen, so that's not going to help me. But yeah, if you set off a trap that does damage to you, you're in trouble. The other thing you want to do is try to get your back to a wall when you open these, especially later on in the game. Because sometimes it'll summon a guardian. And like if you're facing right like this, there's a chance if there's a blockage here that the guardian will form behind you and he'll hit you for double damage. Do like 120 damage with one hit. You don't want to experience that. So in general, just turn your back to the trap. And
Ready.
that will help.
Present.
Since we're going on 2 hours, I'll probably quit after I open this. I thought I was closer to going to Arnica Road. That's why I named the title this, but I wasn't. Save that for the next tutorial.
Great!
Okay, bullwhip. There we go. There's a lashing weapon. This is what I was telling you about. This does not do double damage if the enemies are blind or paralyzed in melee. We did get some gloves. That's good news. Buskins, going to priest. Okay. Yeah, we'll save it here. Alright guys, well thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next time.